When you're congested, mucus settles into your chest.
I love moving in day. Nice try, but I'm not going nowhere.
That's when you want Mucinex. Only Mucinex has a bilayer tablet that dissolves fast and releases medicine not 4, not 6, but 12 full hours.
Oh, there goes the neighborhood.
Ah, that's better. Don't let chest congestion hold up your day. Mucinex in, mucus out.
Who doesn't know Mr. Mucus? He's the character and face of Mucinex, and he's been around for decades. But how exactly did Mr. Mucus and Mucinex become an iconic household name? The fascinating story behind the character Mr. Mucus comes from the man who brought this medicine to market, and as a result created a $2.3 billion company. From humble beginnings in the pharma world to his mission to make a commonly used drug more effective, John Adams helped give birth to a medicine that has helped millions of people from the common cold. What's up everyone, I hope you're doing well. If you're new to the channel, my name is Chirag Lathia and I make videos on life science and business topics. Today we're going to talk about Mucinex and the interesting story of it coming to market. It's a story that's relatively obscure, but has interesting lessons we can pull from the FDA and commercialization of drugs. So if that sounds interesting to you, be sure to leave a like on this video. Without further ado, let's dive in. Let's first start by describing the active ingredient in Mucinex. Simply explained, guaifenesin is an expectorant medication that aids in the elimination of mucus from the respiratory tract. It's an old drug and it has been used medically as early as 1933. Fast forward to 2020, it's the 324th most commonly prescribed medication in the US, with more than 800,000 prescriptions. Back in the day, the FDA ruled that the category of expectorants only had one molecule, guaifenesin, deemed safe and effective to be on the market. They ruled out many other drugs that were not as effective or had too many side effects. And this happened in 1972, when the OTC Drug Review Program was first created by the FDA. This over-the-counter drug review was to facilitate the review of hundreds of thousands of over-the-counter medicines. Rather than approve each product individually, as is typically done for prescription drugs, the over-the-counter drug review develops monographs for various therapeutic categories. These monographs establish key conditions, such as active ingredients, indications, dosage form, and label directions, under which an OTC drug is generally recognized as safe and effective. So now that we have the historical perspective, let's cut back to John Adams. So he was beginning his career as a pharma sales rep in Kansas, and a doctor had challenged him on his product that had an antihistamine and guaifenesin. The doctor told him that if he could find any medical reference that his product was indicated for bronchitis, he would use it exclusively. So he then spent the weekend at the library scouring for references, but he found that none existed. So the first product that he developed was one that had guaifenesin and a decongestant, but no antihistamine, thus eliminating any side effects of drowsiness. So while John Adams was tinkering with his guaifenesin product, the FDA was trying to determine the effective dose for guaifenesin. Initially, they ruled that 800 milligrams per day is the max dosage for an adult, but later they revised that upward to 2,400 milligrams per day. John Adams, with his experience, knew that 2,400 milligrams is a lot, because if you were to take 2,400 milligrams at once, you'd feel dizzy or seasick. To solve that side effect, he developed a long-acting form of the product to get that 2,400 milligrams, but spread the release over 8 to 12 hours. So he created a few different long-acting forms of this product and presented it to the FDA. And sadly, the FDA turned them down. This was because the product didn't fit their pharmacokinetics parameters of Cmin and Cmax. The FDA was comparing the response of John Adams' pill to that of a liquid. So while they were quite disheartened by this setback from the FDA, they still felt that there was a market for the product. So they went back to the drawing board, until a man well-versed in product development, Bob Davis, walked into John's office and said, "I can solve this pharmacokinetics problem for you." And to do that, he stacked 2 tablets together to form an extended release bilayer tablet. The first part releases quickly to achieve the Cmax like a liquid, and the second part achieves the long-acting form, which then provides them with a lower bound or Cmin that is within the FDA parameters. And eventually that formed the basis of Mucinex. What happened next was truly surprising. So they initially submitted the product Mucinex to the FDA as a prescription product. But when the FDA approved it, they approved it as an over-the-counter product. Now, it's important to note that the OTC monograph system, as part of the FDA, does not include provisions for extended-release dosage form drug products. That means that single-ingredient guaifenesin extended-release drug products are considered new drugs and would require an approved application for marketing. And so, John Adams took them to their word. Since they got approved as an OTC, the FDA had to take all the other non-approved extended-release products off the market. And the FDA actually agreed to do that. Following approval of the extended-release form of guaifenesin, the FDA required the removal of all marketed but unapproved time-release guaifenesin products from the market by 2007. Additionally, John Adams and his team patented their extended-release tablet, thus locking in their competitive advantage. From there, with the help of an ad agency in New York and $65 million in initial advertising budget, they created Mr. Mucus and marketed this product to consumers. But despite the massive incoming success of Mucinex, John Adams actually stepped down as CEO. And this is because they needed someone with experience in OTC products. And John Adams' primary expertise was in prescription products. And the rest is history. Mucinex continued to market Mr. Mucus and expand their product line to children and additional cold, flu, and cough markets with combinations of additional active ingredients. So what are the business lessons we can learn from this story? The first one is that sometimes the simplest solutions are the most effective. You may not need to reinvent the wheel to innovate, and there may be existing drugs that could be made more effective with a simple change in the delivery mechanism. And your first look at opportunities should be in areas you already have deep knowledge in, like John Adams, whose life work largely centered around expectorants. The second lesson I got from this story is to not underestimate the FDA. In a broader sense, learn the rules set in your industry and see how you can work within those rules. There's an interesting story by G. Kirk Raab, CEO of Genentech, that I'll place on the screen that illustrates how he describes the FDA. In short, he said you really need to be FDA's friend if you want to be successful. The third lesson here is that patent protection really is a double-edged sword. While it does encourage innovation for new types of products, some would argue that it also encourages monopolistic behavior. And the trick is really finding a balance between the two. And the fourth and last lesson I got from this story is don't let your ego get in the way of success. Sometimes you have to step down and find the person with the right expertise, like John Adams did when he found someone who had OTC expertise when his expertise was largely in prescription products. So with all that said, let's get a good discussion going in the comments below. Let me know what you think about this video on Mucinex. Do you like these historical videos in lesson format? If this video gets a good response, I'll consider making more videos about the history of pharma companies and the drugs they develop. I will read all your comments and reply. Please also consider sharing this video with a friend if you learned something new. I've also placed a few links down below with my favorite services that I use on a daily basis. And if you would like to support the channel, you can click through those. If you've enjoyed the content and you've made it this far, please subscribe if you haven't yet. With that said, thank you so much for watching and see you soon.